Hi everyone, welcome back. My name's Carly. I'm your host of Piece by Piece, the fashion history podcast where we take apart the clothes that are hanging in our closets to uncover how they became cultural icons. Today we're taking apart the little black dress piece by piece. I'm super excited about today's episode because the little black dress is maybe one of the most iconic pieces of clothing in my opinion. And I actually only own two little black dresses, one of them being a dress that I bought in 2021 for an honor society event when I was in high school. During this time of my life, I was pretty into, I guess, goth or you could call it like alternative subcultures. But for this event, I decided to go for a really simple spaghetti strap, mid calf length dress. I opted to wear a little bolero shoulder shrug to dress it up a little bit and a large emerald pendant choker. At the time, I didn't know that I would still own this exact same dress, and even after all these years of botched tailoring and fluctuating sizes and many accessories, I still reach for this dress for friends' birthdays, dinners, date nights, and any special occasion. So, to jump in on this episode, the definition of the little black dress is a simple but elegant black dress that is typically short or knee length. It is designed to be versatile and suitable for various occasions, whether it's for casual or formal events. It should also be pretty easy to accessorize. Its minimalistic design allows it to remain stylish regardless of changing fashion trends, making it a extremely reliable wardrobe staple. Prior to the 20th century, a black dress wasn't a symbol of style, but it was associated with mourning. During the Victorian era, widowed women were expected to wear black after the death of their husbands as a sign of their grief. In 1861, Prince Albert, the royal consort of his wife, Queen Victoria, died, and reportedly she wore black dresses for the next 40 years as a mark of her sadness. The other group wearing black was the working class during the 19th century. Housekeepers, maids, and cleaning women were seen in black uniforms since it helped in hiding dirt and any unsightly stains. Historically, the color black was considered ominous. Hence, a black dress was associated either with mourning, poverty, or other negative connotations. In 1926, this all changed when Vogue famously featured a simple black dress designed by Coco Chanel. Chanel herself was a revolutionary of her time. Before becoming one of the most influential fashion designers in history, she was a seamstress and a cabaret performer who worked her way into French high society. By 1918, she opened the first Chanel boutique in Paris, and she was defiant and bold in her sense of style. She really was a true trendsetter for her time. Her most famous quote being, "In order to be irreplaceable, one must always be different." Chanel designed menswear inspired items like trousers, pants, and pajama style suits that embodied femininity, class, and elegance. And to wear her clothing was a truly daring act for women in the early parts of the 20th century. Chanel's little black dress debuted in the October edition of Vogue 1926. The model adorned a long-sleeved crepe de chine dress with a relaxed silhouette and a dropped waist. This is very reminiscent of how flapper dresses looked at the time, and it was styled very similarly as it was paired with a long pearl necklace and a simple cloche hat. Based along the lines of simple chemise dresses at the time, which were in popular fashion, it featured a boat neckline, which runs horizontally across the collarbones. The dress also hung extremely loose, not to accentuate the figure, and fell at about knees length. This forever banished the idea of black being only a mourning color, and Chanel's dress became the world's first official little black dress, and Vogue recognized it as a uniform for all women of taste. At the same time that Chanel's dress appeared in Vogue, Henry Ford released the Model T. This was the first affordable mass-produced car of its time. This set the stage for the media to dub Chanel's black dress as the Ford of fashion, signifying that the little black dress was a taste of luxury that was still affordable and available for the masses. This forever solidified Chanel's dress as a truly revolutionary piece of clothing, as it was being compared to an also truly revolutionary car. As the 1920s gave way to the Great Depression and eventually World War II, economic constraints tightened everyone's purse strings. Silk and elaborate embellishments became extremely impractical and were strictly worn by the ultra-wealthy. So fabric rationing was demanded in order to conserve resources. But during this time, the little black dress still thrived. It was economical and respectable. Women could dress it up with a brooch or pearls, making it perfect for evening socials, or go without the accessories and dress it down to wear to work. And it was repeatedly worn because it didn't draw too much attention. Before we jump into the LBD's mark of the 1940s, I want to introduce to you the hemline index theory. This was developed during the transition of the Roaring Twenties into the Great Depression. George Taylor, an economist at Wharton Business School, is credited with creating the hemline index. However, he didn't actually make a link between the economy and skirt lengths. Instead, Taylor wrote a doctorate thesis in 1929 called Significant Post-War Changes in the Full Fashion Hosiery Industry. This examined the explosive growth of the hosiery industry in the 1920s, and in doing so, discussed skirt lengths in relation to the increasing demand for stockings. During this time, many women opted for a flapper dress style, which was considered scandalous at first, as this dress was shorter than any other dresses before it, hitting mostly right above or around the knee. Once the Great Depression hit, however, hemlines dropped to a more conservative length. The 1940s war boom saw skirts rise to practical knee lengths once again, only to drop back down before the recession of 1949. Fashion, consciously or not, mirrored the economic ups and downs of their time, and the iconic little black dress actually rose into the limelight once again during this 40s post-war era. Although this time the style reflected a new silhouette popularized by Christian Dior's 1947 collection, The New Look. This featured full calf-length skirts and cinched waists, offering a hyper-feminine upgrade to Chanel's LBD. Regarded as a symbol of hope after the war, it became a fashion statement embraced by all, with Vogue quoting, 10 out of 10 women have one, but 10 out of 10 women want another because the little black dress leads the best rounded life. During the 50s, black dresses were a staple in Hollywood. In early films, especially as color technology was evolving, black appeared sharp and gave actresses a strong silhouette that made them stand out under studio lighting. Hollywood starlets like Marilyn Monroe and Grace Kelly wore black dresses both on and off screen. And suddenly the color was no longer associated with somber, it was magnetic. The influence of these on-screen femme fatales meant the little black dress was a signifier of a dangerous woman, as a dress in its simplicity commanded attention. This was important because at the time, mainstream 1950s female fashion was pushing a very different ideal. With soft pastels and full structured skirts, it represented the polished image of the domestic housewife. In the 1960s, the little black dress split into two completely different identities. On one side, you had the younger mod generation who wasn't interested in being subtle. They wanted short hemlines and sharper silhouettes. The black mini dress became this decade's signature version of the little black dress. Designer Mary Quant helped lead this movement through the miniskirt revolution, pushing hemlines higher and experimenting with bold details like cutouts in the bodice and slips up the skirt. However, the more mature generation still preferred a long black dress. An example of this would be the black Givenchy sheath dress worn by Audrey Hepburn's character Holly Golightly in Breakfast at Tiffany's. It was accessorized with a string of pearls and long satin gloves, which became Hepburn's most iconic dress of her era and is considered probably one of the most iconic LBDs of all time. As more subcultures began to emerge during the 1970s and grew popularity in the 80s, the little black dress continued to evolve. The popularity of disco had a huge impact on fashion. Glitzy embellishments such as sequins and mesh were introduced, which dramatically altered the silhouette of the LBD. Additionally, the wardrobe staple easily morphed into a brooding, rebellious item of clothing during the 80s. This mirrored the punk rock subculture. And a big female style icon of this subculture was Debbie Harry, who often wore black to contrast her signature bleached blonde hair. PVC, leather, fishnet tights, and safety pins all got layered onto the little black dress to make it tougher, louder, and even more rebellious than ever before. Although it was embraced by alternative subcultures, this didn't diminish its mainstream appeal. And by this point, nearly a century after the strict mourning traditions of the Victorian era, black had fully broken free from its confinement. The little black dress could truly exist in two worlds at once. And as we move into the next decade, that flexibility becomes even more important. In the 90s, the little black dress was stripped down. With no sequins and lack of dramatic structure, instead we saw clean lines and slip silhouettes, with dresses that almost mirrored nightgowns. Subcultures like grunge paired the LBD with combat boots or chunky platform sandals, proving that it could move seamlessly between mainstream fashion and alternative culture, just like it had in the decade before it. This decade solidified that the little black dress did not belong to just one aesthetic. Instead, it could adapt to whoever was wearing it. And in 1994, the little black dress gave us two of its most unforgettable moments. First was Elizabeth Hurley stepping onto the red carpet at the premiere of Four Weddings and a Funeral, wearing a black Versace gown held together with oversized gold safety pins. It was daring and provocative. Then just months later, Princess Diana arrived at the Serpentine Gallery's summer party in a sleek, off-the-shoulder black dress. This was the same night that Prince Charles publicly admitted to infidelity on national television. And what could have been a moment of humiliation became a moment of control. And the media quickly dubbed Diana's dress as the revenge dress. And since then, it is probably Diana's most iconic look and is what solidified her place as really being a fashion icon. Now, today, nearly every major designer includes a little black dress in their collection. It has become less of a trend and more of an expectation as a permanent fixture in fashion. Amy Holman Edelman, author of The Little Black Dress, describes it as emblematic of a woman's freedom of choice, her equal participation in the world, and her declaration that this time she is dressing for herself. And that idea feels even more relevant today. As we're living in an era of overconsumption and micro trends continue to rise and fall in a matter of weeks, social media accelerates the fashion cycle faster than ever before, constantly pushing us toward the next aesthetic and whatever the next must-have item is. But the little black dress resists that urgency. It doesn't beg for attention, and it doesn't expire with the algorithm. From Victorian mourning to Hollywood glamour, the little black dress has carried grief, power, seduction, and independence all in its same signature color. And that's why it endures, because it isn't about the dress itself, it's about autonomy of women. And in a world that constantly tells women what to wear and how to look or who to be, the little black dress quietly says, you decide. Before I sign off, I did want to mention two pop culture moments in recent years where the LBD showed up. The first one, which is my favorite, is in the 2004 film Mean Girls, where Lindsay Lohan, who's playing Katie Heron, wears a black strapless dress. And this one is very, very simple, and it has a really true lack of accessories to go with it. But I think it just shows that the LBD can really stand on its own in many ways. And with its use in this film especially was a turning point for Lindsay Lohan's character. And I love seeing clothing like this in a film because it pays homage to the meaning behind what the LBD stands for, and especially in this film, it was a provocative turning point moment for Lindsay Lohan's character, so it really pays homage to that femme fatale connotation that the LBD hasn't escaped to this day. And another more recent moment was in Sabrina Carpenter's 2024 music video for her song Taste. Her and the antagonist in the video, Jenna Ortega, are dressed in these very elegant, stately black dresses. They're very reminiscent of the little black dresses in the 80s with the puff shoulder pads and just extravagance. And I think this is a great mention, as the little black dress has obviously not escaped its mourning connotation that started it all off. Thanks, guys, for listening to episode 2 of Piece by Piece. I really enjoyed putting this one together. The LBD is starting to become one of my most favorite clothing items and also my favorite word to say now. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with someone who has a little black dress of their own hanging in their closet. And I will see you next week where we break down another iconic item piece by piece.